You son of a gun. So, good news and bad news. Bad news is, lost heaps of footage. Hard drive died literally like a few hours after I uploaded a heap of GoPro footage. So I've lost heaps of footage of all the little bits and pieces that I've been doing on the Land Rover. Anyway, the good news is I'll have to do just a concise sum up of all that stuff so you won't be bored with all the minutiae. Minutiae? Minutia. I'll still go through all those bits and I'll just have to summarise it all. I won't be able to show you all the fine details as much, but oh well. Next big item I've got to get into the Land Rover is the big HVAC module. What I'm talking about there is there's a big plastic HVAC unit that mounts basically in here, right up hard against the firewall. HVAC stands for heating, ventilation and air conditioning. So that's exactly what it does. Basically it takes air from either the outside or the inside and either just puts it through the fan or heats it or cools it, basically for cabin temperature. Big unit here, and so you got vents that come out of it for your feet, and out the Tesla's unique system of the airway vent in there and another one in there. Ducts it back through to back of the console there and under the seats for the rear. Let's have a look at that unit and how I'm mounting that in the Land Rover. So here's the big unit. You can see here it's just a big plastic casing with a whole lot of air ducting. And you saw where that sat up in the Tesla there, hard, like it was more right up in here. Obviously the Land Rover isn't designed for this to fit, so I'm having to basically put it where I can. And this is where it's going. It's going to be quite a big console in the middle here, but once that's all covered and made to look nice, that'll be fine. To get it even sitting that well, I had to cut the seat squab. So usually this goes straight across. As far as strength goes, I mean the main strength of this vehicle, it's a chassis-based vehicle, so that's the main structural bit of the car. But I also braced this, strengthened this after I cut that out with a big metal brace that goes across and bolts in here, and comes up and mounts on the seat, so the seat corner is really strong. Goes across and gives it lots of strength, and that top bit mounts into one corner of the seat. The main requirements of where this goes is positioned in the Land Rover is here, which is where the refrigerant lines come in from the air conditioner. So there's just sitting in here, there's a air conditioner evaporator. That's what gets cold and can cool the air, obviously. That interface there sort of had to go at a certain place in the firewall to match up with the refrigerant lines that come from the air conditioner compressor. Managed to get that exactly where I needed it to. I couldn't have gone up any further because of this. Couldn't have gone down much more because then the firewall starts doing some other things. Yeah, obviously I had to cut a hole in there. One thing about that though is, you can see here, this is the original, the Tesla firewall isn't just a flat firewall. It comes across on an angle, comes across through here. So I had to 3D print, make a 3D printed spacer wedge sort of thing to be able to seal it against the firewall, but that was not too bad. The other thing, which wasn't quite as hard, is this bit here is just a big open intake. This is the fresh air intake, and this is the interior air intake, the recircular intake. It's controlled by this motorized flap here. And so you can see what I've done here. I've just used some fiberglass to seal it where the old firewall would have been, and some 70mm metal tube that goes up to the firewall. This is actually part of the original diesel air intake. And yeah, it comes out the firewall here. And at the moment I've just got this. This is also the bit that attaches to the turbo on the old diesel. Yeah, this just gets fresh air from down the bottom of the old engine bay. Can sort of get away with it in this situation because there's no smelly diesel engine or fumes or heat coming from in here. I was originally, the plan was to link that through to the original air intake spot there with the original hose that went to the air filter of the diesel, but I'm sort of run out of room through here. So to mount this big HVAC module, I've utilised the original, I don't know what this is called. I looked up Elring Klinger. They're a company that make lightweight sort of components, vehicle components and EV components. So they're a German company. This part here, this is what the HVAC screws into, here and here, and up here. This usually mounts obviously further forward and goes across the Tesla, goes across the A-pillars, gives it a lot of strength, and the steering column actually mounts to it as well. I've cut the ends off obviously because I don't need them, but it's a good sort of mounting thing for the HVAC because it gives me some really good mounts. These usually mount through the floor of the Tesla. Then this top mount here, which picks up on a bracket on the firewall up there. And then the other side of this is a steel bracket that's welded onto the motor, the new motor mounting cross member. At some stage I've got to sort out where all these ducting vents go to. So this vent here, there's one on each side, goes to the Tesla airway vents, which are pretty cool. I wouldn't mind if I can integrate them. I really want to. So they have a plastic ducting thing, which flops in there, and then this picks up on the mechanically driven vent to direct the air in different ways. And that's pretty cool in the Tesla with being able to control it through the touch screen, where the air goes. Actually, let's have a look at that in the Tesla now because it's pretty cool. So you can see here, this is where the airway vents sit behind, and yeah, it's pretty cool how you can control them from the UI in the car. It's pretty nice. Passenger and driver sides. I would like to integrate that into the Land Rover if possible because that's pretty cool. So then we've got these ducts, there's one on either side as well, which are for the footwell vents. Wouldn't mind somehow venting that through to the feet area. Don't know how to do that yet. These ones here, left and right, which actually just come up in a vent in the Tesla dash here. Maybe I could incorporate a heated and vented cup holder with these. Ooh, wouldn't that be cool? And down the bottom, the back of the HVAC module, 2 vents here. This top one actually marries up with the center console and then goes out through the console to the back seats. Bottom one here goes left and right under the seats for rear passenger footwell. So I would like to utilise them to put heating or cooling in the back. So maybe I can do something through here, haven't worked that out yet. And then we move to this one here, which is the windscreen demisting outlet. So it's usually just an open outlet that marries up to the bottom of the Tesla dash that then routes it to the window vents. So I've just blocked that with a piece of fiberglass, and then I've just used some 40mm plumbing pipe and drilled a hole in the back of that and urethaned that in to seal it, and through a T-piece, and that marries up to the original Land Rover vents. So yeah, that worked out pretty well. So this is an early HVAC unit. The more modern HVAC modules are different, mainly because this utilises a PTC heater, a positive thermal coefficient heater, rather than the newer ones which use a heat pump. So it's not as efficient, but that's the least of my worries as far as efficiency goes with this vehicle. So yeah, you've got the high voltage cables for that pass through using the original Tesla grommet that went through the firewall. This is a drain. So there's the air conditioner evaporator in here, which gets cold obviously, create liquid when it heats up and needs to drain somewhere, so it's got a drain here. And I've just used some 19mm heater hose, passing through the firewall there through a grommet. You can see there the high voltage lines and the drain hole, the wee hole. I've had to grind, you can see at the bottom there, for clearance I've had to just grind the casing off that, which is fine. It doesn't do anything, that bit of casing, but just for clearance because the motor's just under there. I think I can use this area here. There's a bit of area through here that I can use as storage. I don't know if that's a slide out tray or just a shelf I can put stuff. And then obviously my main room for other stuff can go in here. Obviously I've had to remake the floor. Usually the Land Rover has a floor that bolts in here that has a big hump in it for the transmission, and you've got the gear lever in the middle. So I've just put a couple of bits of metal through there as a mould and made a couple of bits of metal as a mould for this back one. And then I just used some floor underlay actually over the motor to mould onto. And that worked pretty well, except when I cut it to shape first, I cut it the wrong line and cut it too short, so I had to redo this top bit. But we won't talk about that again, will we? Yeah, job done.